I'm going to take you through the process of designing a website for a real client. I'll show you every decision start to finish. And I picked this client on purpose because she's about the last person you would think would need a new website if you were looking on her business from the outside. She had been coaching dog sports competitors for over 5 years. I mean, clients competing at the international level. She had Facebook ads that converted really well. She was growing her email list. She was making over 6 figures a year. And she built all of that without having a real established website. And it worked right up until the messages started. People began DMing her on the regular saying things like, hey, how do I sign up? Like, I can't find your website anywhere. I can't find your sales page anywhere. So this isn't about whether you need a website. This client proved that you can win without one for sure. It's about what having a bad one costs you, even when you already have money coming in. That gap between how great this coach already was and about what her website actually conveyed about her, that is exactly what this build set out to close. Hi, I'm Jennie Lakenan. I've spent the last 8 years or so building sites for coaches and consultants, over 150 of them. I'm StoryBrand certified. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through every single step that we made rebuilding this client site from scratch. We'll talk strategy, copy, and design. Plus, I'm going to show you the exact framework that I use for every high converting homepage so that you can steal it for yours. So let's start at the beginning with who this client actually is. Her name is Ellen Lawler. Her whole business is about dog sports mindset, and her core offer is a membership called Dog Sports Scholars. It's for competitive handlers that are wanting to train on the mental side of the sport, not just like the technical side. That's the how good she is side of the equation. Now here's the other side, her actual website. Her old site was very yellow and navy. It had a lot of big text blocks on it that were hard to read. It did not have a single professional photo. It had a navigation bar where half the links were dead. You land on that page and you think, oh, okay, this is a fairly new coach, maybe less than a year in. So you put those two things together. On one side, she's training international level competitors. And on the other side, she's got a site that just kind of looks like it was a first DIY attempt. That contradiction is what I call the credibility gap. And the reason it almost never gets fixed is because it feeds on itself. The site is embarrassing, so you avoid it. So then it never improves. So you keep avoiding it. And then it quietly becomes irrelevant to you, except that it's not irrelevant to the people who matter. Every time someone hears about you, they're going to go look you up. And one of the places where they can find you is on your website. They land there, and if it quietly undercuts everything that they've been told, that is not going to be good for business. That was the real cost for Ellen. The site wasn't losing her money outright, but it was adding a lot of friction everywhere that money was already moving. People coming off of her ads, people who had seen her on podcasts, anyone that was just trying to figure out how to actually work with her. But you don't fix that with design. You fix it with a decision, the one most coaches are going to dodge. So before we touched a single pixel, we answered one question. Who is this website really for? And for Ellen, that question landed really hard because at the time we started working together, she had 2 very different programs for 2 different types of clients. She had one for handlers whose dogs were falling apart in training. They're spinning and barking and kind of checking out, where the real issue was about miscommunication between the handler and the dog. And the other offer was a membership for the handler themselves. That membership focused on the experienced competitor whose dog is fine, but the competitor themselves comes undone and totally falls apart at a trial because of their mindset, because of their nerves. So 2 very real problems, 2 very real audiences, and it was tempting to start building a site that would speak to both of them, but we quickly realized that that was going to be a trap. And Ellen already knew that she wanted to focus in on just one of those offers to help the site be more cohesive and to convert better. So Ellen decided to constrain and focus on just the membership for the handler. And the moment that she committed to that, the whole architecture of the site stopped being a guessing game. Every road now leads to one place, and that is to, get on the email list, and the membership eventually gets sold to you. Or if a visitor finds the site directly, they can join right away. Every page, every button, every line of copy points to that final destination. That's the part that most coaches can't bring themselves to do. They want the site to speak to everyone or hold every offer, keep every door open, and a site that is trying to speak to everyone ends up not really speaking effectively to anyone. Ellen went the other way. And once the site has just one job, the homepage almost builds itself using the framework that we put under every coaching homepage. I call it the mirror test. Here's the idea. When you meet someone at a party, the instinct is to talk about yourself, what you do, why you're good at it. But the people we actually warm to do the opposite. They ask about us. They make it about us. Almost everything ever written about connecting with people comes down to that one thing. A homepage really is no different. Before a visitor cares who you are, they need to be able to see themselves in the page. So every section has to pass one test, and that is, does this person see themselves here? Let's see how this plays out top to bottom. It starts the second that they land on the page with the headline. So the first thing that the page needs to do is really hand them their own reflection. Ellen's reads, master dog sports performance at both ends of the leash. That's not describing her offer specifically, it's describing who the visitor is becoming. A handler reads it and they instantly think, okay, I can identify with that. That is about me and my dog, us as a team. And the moment that they see themselves in that line, the next question kind of fires on its own. Okay, but do you actually get what I'm dealing with? So the next thing that the page does is name their problem in their words. Right under the headline, you train hard, you've got the skills, but when the pressure's on, and then 3 lines pulled straight from what her people already say. One handler put it as, I just don't know which dog is going to show up. Read that and you don't think, oh yeah, she describes my problem really well. You think, oh yeah, she's been in the room with people exactly like me. And that feeling of she's been in the room with me, that is the only thing that earns you the right for them to read then the next part, which is the one that a lot of coaches skip, and that is empathy. Before any credentials, here is why we need to express empathy. One of my daughters has always had dental anxiety, and at her last appointment before they started, she asked the dentist, hey, when I raise my hand, can you please stop what you're doing so I can take a little break? Can you give me the little suction thingy to hold? And she just said yes. She expressed so much empathy. She gave her a break after each side. She listened when my daughter raised her hand and needed to take a little bit of a break. It let her feel in control, and she did really well. Now, that dentist is completely qualified. She's had years of training and experience. But that's not why this interaction worked to help my daughter deal with her anxiety. It worked because they started with what she needed, and that was empathy. It's the same on Ellen's site. The empathy section is her own story when competing. She had nerves, her body was not cooperating with what she knew how to do and what she had practiced. Her line about being the hot barfing mess at the line is not polished copy. And it does a lot more work, I think, than any credential would, especially if you're leading with it. Because only once that they know that you get them is when they will start to care about what you actually know. So now, and not a second earlier, is when the page finally brings in that authority piece. We talk about Ellen's academic background here. She's helped hundreds of handlers. She has a specific methodology that she uses. The same facts that would have bounced off of the visitor if you had placed them at the top of the page now land in this spot because by now you have earned them. By now they're more likely to trust you and they want in. And so the only thing left standing between them and joining is the quiet doubt of like, okay, can I actually do this? And that is what the next section helps to remove. It is a simple plan that helps reduce friction between where they are now and where they want to end up. And so we show them, learn the system, start practicing, master the process. It gives them a simple 3-step plan. It's not just a feature list. It's proof that joining the program doesn't just mean drowning. It means simply helping you get where you want to go. And now for everyone that's on the page and they're nodding along, but they're not ready to commit today, you don't want to let them leave without giving them something to do. And that is why we keep the door open by having an opt-in. The email list. That is the start of the longer relationship that eventually is going to lead to the membership. So 6 pieces, same order every time. And you'll notice that none of them are really about Ellen. Everyone is just another place that the visitor can see themselves before they ever really see her. That is the mirror test. And everything on that page came from somewhere real, like what she teaches and what her clients are actually saying. Nothing was invented just to sound good. If you want this whole approach mapped out for you, not just the homepage, but every page that a coaching website needs, I've created a free resource called the Coach Website Blueprint, and it maps out the 5 pages that every coaching website needs to be high converting and what each one should actually say. I'll put the link to that in the description. Okay, but back to the build. The framework was the hardest part, and that was done, which meant that the next decision was the part everyone thinks design is actually about, how it looks. And the visuals had actually one job, and that is to make the site finally match the credibility that Ellen had already earned without turning her into someone that she was not. And that's the rule I would give anyone here. Your brand should look like the same person that they would meet on a call. Polished enough to be credible, personal enough to be approachable. Every visual decision that we made was really just that rule applied to the site. We started with color because that is often what visitors notice very first. Her old yellow and navy had personality, but the way that it was executed felt a little bit DIY, and DIY was the exact thing that we were trying to undo. So we moved to this teal coral cream layout. It's a little bit more refined. It matched some colors that Ellen had experimented with before. It's a little warmer, still saturated enough to feel like her energy and match the aesthetic that her audience research had told her that people expect from dog sports brands. We wanted to avoid the stock coaching template feel entirely. Now, if color was the thing that we had to change, the logo was the thing that we had to protect. Because here's where a lot of rebrands go wrong. When something already has recognition, you don't just throw it out, so you make everything feel new. And Ellen's logo already had that recognition built in. It was a logo from a previous business, and she had used it for a while in this business. Her audience knew it really well. Scrapping that just so that everything would feel new was not going to be a good business decision. So we kept the mark largely as it was. We just paired it with her name in a typeface that meshed really well with the rest of the site. But the single biggest shift was not her colors or her logo, it was photography, because her old site did not have much of it, and nothing says real credible person faster than actually seeing the person's face on their website. For launch, we used what we had, and those are mostly natural shots of her with her dogs, and we planned a proper outdoor professional shoot for a later season this year. Even with these early iterations of photos that we're going to swap out later, the difference between using just any photo and using a photo chosen on purpose and cropped to fit that space well is the difference between looking like everyone else and looking like Ellen. And once it looked like her, that was the last piece. Strategy, copy, design, all of it done. The only thing left was to put it in front of the world and see what it did. We launched it about 6 weeks ago, and remember those messages that she used to get? How do I sign up? I can't find your website. Now she sends just one link. That alone is friction just gone. The bigger results, I will say, are still incoming. 6 weeks is pretty early, and I'm waiting on the full story from Ellen, but I don't have to guess where this goes because I have watched the same shift play out again and again. Dorothy Johnson, a breakup coach, saw a 44% increase in sales page conversions after we redesigned hers for more scannability. Dave Moreno saw a 10 times return on investment in just his first month post-launch. His podcast guesting game had been on, but his old site was a leaky bucket, and we wanted to make sure that people were not slipping out the bottom. Jamie Berman saw 6-figure launches on the sales pages that we built together, and the thing that every one of these has in common is the thing that I want you to take away today. The new site didn't create the business. Websites are not an if you build it, they will come thing typically. The coach already had the business. The website just finally stopped undermining it. That's the shift that I actually care about. Not that Ellen's site looks better, but that she has a site that she's finally proud to actually send people to. She was already this good of a coach when we started. This was never a rescue. It was just getting what's on screen to match what her skills actually are. And now the two finally agree. I hope that was helpful. Now, if you are an established coach or consultant and you recognize yourself in this, in the embarrassment to send people to your website, the avoidance, the sense that what you have built there does not convey the caliber of coaching that you bring to the table, I would love to help you. That is the work that my team and I do. The link to apply is in the description, and I would love to hear from you.